Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear student, today we will going with hazard analysis critical control point, the part number 2. In the last lecture we talking about the 7 principles for HACCP. The first one was how to conduct hazardous analysis, and this is very important action and a step and principle. We have to draw a flow diagram to conduct the best hazard analysis ever. The second principle for HACCP is how to identify the critical control points, and we have to look thoroughly during the food processing. That's mean during preparation, storage of the food, handling and serving of this food. The third principle was how to establish criteria for each limit, for each critical control point. That means how I would know that this critical control point should be identified for me, if exceed the temperature or lower the temperature, if exceeds the duration of sterilization process or cooking time or outside of the refrigerator. This is most important thing during the third number for the principles for HACCP. The fourth one is establishing the procedure to monitoring each critical control point. I have to find the proper procedure to find a best monitoring tools for each critical. How I know that this temperature of the food is not comply with the limits I established before. Number 5 is establishing the corrective action, and this is really most important one, because otherwise finding appropriate corrective action, I cannot manage and correct the process of the food during this way. The sixth one is how to record keeping procedure. In most of the food factories, they found some called record keeping procedure, and this is very important regarding for the legal issues, and also to find appropriate method to control the process of the production of the food, and also to ensure that all the raw materials is coming from recognized and safe places and from retirees, and this is could be make a problems if we couldn't keep a good record system. The last one is establishing a procedure for verifying that HACCP analysis system is working well, and this can be achieved if there is good management. So management procedure consists of many points. The first one, as we mentioned the last lecture, is hiring policy. Hiring policy should be clear and should be transparent and without any corruption. Each person should be in the right place. Otherwise, especially in the food safety and hygiene, a catastrophe will be occur. Nowadays we hear about the corona or COVID-19, and I think without finding appropriate process in the hiring policy, we could not ensure that this food is really coming from good resources and all the procedure of the food is not corrected in the way. The second one is the emergency processing. During emergency, management should have established a clear plan P or contingency plan to coping with the new situation. As you know, emergency have many times, types. The first type is natural disasters. The second one is a human-made disaster. Human-made disaster like wars, and natural disasters like flood, earthquake, etc. If we didn't have a clear, verified emergency procedure in the factories and food plants, we can have a lot of problems. So each person in the food plant should be has a clear idea and well trained about how to deal in emergency. Nowadays, most of the factories working on a plan P. That means shortage of the facilities, maybe energy, maybe the workers, the process of the transportation, etc. So they should have clear one to minimize the hazards in the food storage, food processing, food handling, etc. all these. Today we will talking about the third one is food safety. As we said, management procedure consists of many points. One of them hiring policy, the second one is emergency procedure, the third one is food safety procedure. Each manager is responsible to ensure and enforce all procedure of quality assurance is implemented in the proper way according to the protocols and manual prepared previously. For that reason, he should be setting an example. That means the manager should have a full professionalism and high quality standards for the employee. Otherwise, it should not be one following these protocols or manual. I cannot say that you have not to smoke in the factory, and meanwhile or later the workers or employee seeing the manager he's smoking, and this should not be happen anymore. But otherwise you cannot setting a clear and good example and cannot be an idol for them. وعندنا في العربي they said لا تنهى عن خلق وتأتي بمثله عار عليك إذا فعلت عظيمه. The second one is coaching and skill development, capacity building for the employee. You cannot improve the quality of the food safety in the factories without making coaching and skill development. For that, you have to observe all the activity of the employee, and once you find a special gap or deficiency or problem in food handling procedures or food processing, whatever, you have to make coaching for them, and you have to develop their skills in the food processing in this. For example, you can measure temperature, how to take times, how to conduct the best corrective actions if needed during the food processing. For that, coaching, frequent coaching, good coaching, serious one, and also you have to develop their skills in a proper way, making virtual training, making you can bring from outside certain expert to tell them about the best practices during food production, or GMP, good manufacturing practices in the food processing. The third one, for food safety procedure, you have to ensure as manager the quality assurance aspect. You have to conduct a routine and timely manner, maybe weekly, monthly, trimester inspections about the checklist of the environmental issues. You have to ensure that the process of the delivery or exchange or exchange the water is done in the proper way. You have to ensure that nets of the insects in the windows is well closed. You have to ensure that temperature, water, sewage water all these stuff should be checked in um, timely manner and should be inspected in a proper way. The fourth point here should be considered as a manager, the quality management team. Each factory should involve quality management team. Those team selected by the manager based on their skills, attitudes, and professionalism. And each member of this quality member team should know his duties and responsibilities and should be review the obstacles, problems, unexpected events, raising problems, and they have to clearly identify those one, and also meanwhile develop the best corrective and effective procedure to minimize the risk of food contamination during the food processing. So a lot of things the member of the quality management team have to do. The fifth one is food safety training programs. Food safety training programs, that's on the regular manner. Each member in the factory should have some kind of training sessions, جلسات تدريبية, and they should be able to knowing everything about food safety. Otherwise, I cannot ensure food safety and hygiene for the food factory if the worker are not able to understand what he should do before after and before preparing of the food. That means the critical times of the washing his hand. All of you know that in certain time you have to wash your hands, what's called critical time for wash handling. That means after getting out from the toilet and before handling of the food or preparing of the food. This is very critical time. After scratching your skin or your hair, or after you smoking or playing with your mouth or teeth, you have to wash your hand. And washing hands has a lot of techniques and ideas about how the best way for finding the good washing. We will talk in later in the next slides. And also I have to ensure that all the members of the employee are really attend the training and get benefit of it. Otherwise I cannot ensure the food safety training program conducted in a good manner. The sixth point is maintaining equipment. Each equipment in the factory is considered of our treasure, so we have to provide maintaining. Adequate sanitation should be sanitized in the proper way, and we have to ensure that food preparation and the food storage and the food and equipments used in that is doing a proper job, and also maintain the functionality of each piece of that. I cannot use refrigerator. This refrigerator is not used in proper way, or the temperature is out of a danger zone. And also I have to ensure that all storage equipment is well tight fitting. That's mean insects, rodent proof, ضد الحشرات ضد الفئران. This is important, and also to ensure that the sanitation of the toilets, of sinks is working properly. The final thing is how to reporting illness. I have to ensure that once any worker or employee in the food factory, the symptoms of foodborne illnesses like vomiting, fever, unconscious, etc., should be considered, and reporting that this guy is getting some kind of illnesses or diarrhea or whatever. This is very important, especially in the time of pandemics or epidemics. We ensure that those workers should not be able to transfer the diseases for the others. As you know, foodborne illnesses coming from three major sources. It's coming from the tools used in the food preparation, or coming from the infected persons, or coming from the raw materials. For that, we have to ensure that all these three pillars are avoided to ensure food safety during the process of the food preparation. Now we are going for the fourth one, the employee procedures. We're talking about hiring process, and also we're talking about the emergency procedures, and we're talking about food safety procedure. Now we are going more deeply in the employee procedures. One of the most important thing is hand washing. Hand washing is very important. In this picture which appear for you, the using of this type of the water or water sinks is not good, because this one is using by your hand. You have to open it and close it. I think in the food factory it should be working by sensors. Sensors can really minimize the risk of contamination after you washing your hand. Imagine that this tab is contaminated with viruses or bacteria, etc. You are washing hand properly, but after that you're going for close this. For that, you have to recommend the employee and train them and coach them and increasing the skills how to they have to hand washing. First, you have to use warm water. It should not be cold or extremely hot, because in both cases you have to quickly finalize your hand washing, and this is limited to the time of less than 20 seconds as WHO recommended to eliminate all germs or bacteria or viruses in your hand. The using of liquid soups is very important. You cannot use the normal soups. Liquid is better, and I think if you use sensors like foam or liquid one is best than using the hard soups. Then you have to lather and more friction on your hands, especially in these areas. Look here, and between your fingers and top of your hand should be lather well using the water and soap. Don't forget to clean between your nails. Your nails is very common place for the germ to hide here. Germs, parasites, other type of organisms can really find here a place. After getting on the critical time, after finishing from toilet, and before cooking your food, after using mobile, after using keys, etc., you have to wash your hand in proper way. Then after that, rinse in downward motion. This means from here to here, and this is important. Most of the people just washing their hands here, and some of the droplets of the water is accumulated here. We have to making from here and downward and eliminate it from all the types of the soup and water. After that, we have to dry our hands with paper towels, and this should be once. Yeah, some factories they have some kind of hot air dryers which is working on the sensors. Put your hands and then started to removing the water, drying it quickly. This is good, Also using the disposable or once paper towels is good idea, but using the other types of towels like clothes towels should not be used here, because it will be contaminated, a lot of germs on this type one. Then turn tap with the paper towel if this off on this type. Otherwise, if you are using sensors one, it will be closed automatically without using any kind of mechanical actions. Here I would like to mention that using soap and washing your hands, it's not killing the viruses or bacteria. It just eliminate or just remove them from your hands. For that, we have to consider and understand there is difference between hand washing and hand sterilizing. Sterilizing of your hands, that's mean killing all germs on your hands by using special detergents or alcohol, and this is highly recommended nowadays, especially in the pandemic of the COVID-19, to eliminate. And also I have to mention there, you have not to put your hands on your face or nose or mouth. This is can really reduce the chances for transmitting the viruses in your hands to your face and then getting inside your lungs. After washing your hands, and this is one of the employee procedures, you have to consider your fingernails. Fingernails is really the place where a lot of bacteria can hide and then transmit it later to your stomach or your lungs, whatever can. Keeping fingernails should be trimmed لازم تنقص and should be shipped لازم تنحف, and we have to avoid putting the fingernails polish. Why we should be avoid using the polish or manicure or other types of makeups on our fingernails? Because after a while these chemicals will be released and their seams or cracks, شقوق أو فتحات, which bacteria can be hide, and this can be the process of the transmitting of the disease or microbes. For that we have to consider the fingernails should not be painted with other types of the polishes. The third one for the employee procedure, that I have to consider that all the employee are not wearing any type of unnecessary jewelries. That means rings, earrings, necklaces, all these stuffs using for making up should be avoided. Why? Because under this ring a lot of bacteria may be found, and sometimes people maybe scratch the earring and here can be transmitted certain bacteria, etc. For that, each employee who is working in the food preparation should be avoid and remove wearing and remove all the jewelries during the food preparation process. The fourth one, I have to ensure and enforce the cleanliness of all employees. That means النظافة الشخصية والpersonal hygiene والاستحمام والمظهر العام is very important for the employee. I have to ensure that the outer garments اللي هو الأوفرول الأبرهول بسموه بالعامية أو البالطو which using or wearing during the preparation of food is clean, and I have to ensure that each person employee are wearing some kind of headgears اللي هو hair cover اللي هو غطاء الرأس. This is important to avoid any physical contamination with hair, and also to avoid scratching your heads. And here I have to mention why all the chefs in the world wearing some kind of weird caps, this long one. The reason behind this tall one is preventing the chef from scratching his hair, and this is reason is using this one, and also prevent from physical contamination of the food with the hair and avoid hair drop in the food. For that reason, all supervisors or the managers and employee who are in the direct contact with the food preparation or any utensils used for that should have certain criteria. That means all these people, all these employees should not be using tobacco, cigarettes, smoking, shisha, electronic shisha, etc. should be avoided during the preparation of the food. And all this stuff, all these persons should be clean. You cannot employee or hire person that seems a dirty person. He should be clean, consider his personal hygiene, his clothing, etc. Also, all employees and supervisors should be ensured that they are wearing clean outer garments. In some places you can see that the white garments is turned into red, brown, beige, other colors, and this is not acceptable anymore. In each food processing factory or each factory plant, food plant, we have to ensure that the outer garment is clean without any droplets of the blood, for example, or other stuffs. This is important. And also we have to ensure that all the employees wearing the headgears. And also we have to ensure that the persons who are working are not sick and not suffering from certain clinical problems like vomiting, diarrhea, sneezing, coughing, etc. In some food factories we can note that some of the workers not wearing footwear, and this is not acceptable. This is for two reasons. The first one for hygiene and sanitation. The second one, they should wearing the footwear to minimize the risk of getting injury from hot water, knives, drops, etc. That is important and should be considered as a manager for the quality assurance in the factories. We have to also consider about the employee cuts and abrasions. We have to ensure that all these cuts, if found in the face or arms but not on the hands, should be covered well in the proper way. And here in Gaza, before 2 or 3 years, I don't remember exactly, but this is accident happened in the certain restaurant. The workers is working on salad preparation and he had a cut on his hand, and as you know, using water without proper covering, the pus cells from these employee is get in the salad, and as you know, these salads is not needed for heat treatment and eating directly without any processing. For that reason, about 20% get illness and foodborne and going for the hospital due to eating stuffs like that. For that, we have to consider that all cuts abrasions is completely covered, and even the rashes, burns, etc. The final one, for the employee procedures, we have to consider the reporting of emergency conditions. Once emergency occurs, you have to going and report it immediately on the emergency measures section, and we have to ensure that the safety of the employee, safety of the food plant, and also this is good for the legal issues if some outbreaks or stuffs like that happen in the good reputable factories. We have then going for the sanitation procedure. This is the fifth one of the quality management. Sanitation procedure consider many stuffs. The first thing is the equipment used here. Each equipment using during the food preparation, processing and handling should be sound and tight constructed, and also should be kept in the well maintenance procedure and repairment. And the third one, the materials which is made from it should be easily cleaned and sanitized. It is not acceptable to put some kind of clay utensils in the factory اللي هي الزبديات والأشياء الفخاريات هذه should not be used in the factories because it's really hardly to clean it because there is a lot of cracks, gaps, and this is need more effort and maximize the risk of they get contaminated, especially if left it for time without cleaning with hot water and other suitable sanitizers. Yeah. So each equipment used during the food preparation should be easily cleaned and sanitized and should be made from materials resist for the corrosions and should be made also from non-toxic materials. I cannot use some kind of iron utensils أواني حديدية قابلة للصدأ. It should be corrosion resistant, rust free, and also non-toxic. يعني غير مسمى. I cannot use some types of utensils like copper utensils. Copper utensils can really transfer some copper and increase the risk of copper toxicity among the users. Also, these utensils الأدوات بستخدمها في الطهي should be free from cracks, crevices and open seams. خالية من التشققات الفتحات. This is very important, otherwise these utensils may be transferred and can be considered like good environment for transmitting of the foodborne illnesses. Also, during working as a manager and quality assurance manager, you have to consider some criteria for the food sites. That means each food site, كل مكان تصنيع غذائي، مصنع، منشأة غذائية, should be provide the following steps. The first one, we have to ensure adequate supply of potable water. ما بينفع يكون عندي منشأة غذائية صحية وما فيها ماء جاري. Otherwise, if I don't have potable water, this is a cause for increase the risk of the contamination. I cannot make a proper cleaning. I cannot washing the utensils, equipments, the raw materials. For that reason, each food site or plant or factory should have adequate supply of potable water. It's coming from the municipality water, especially from the clean one, or using the underground water اللي هم الآبار الجوفية. To be more specialized, we have to consider that this running water should be in both temperature, that's mean cold and hot one, and also should be under pressure. لازم يكون في عندي compressor للماء خاصة في عملية washing process. Otherwise, it will be hard to ensure that these utensils are really sanitized and cleaned in the proper way. Also, you have to consider the separation of hand washing basins in each location to aid the process of the washing. That means I have to using certain taps for the hot and cold water with the pressure, with liquid soaps, and also I have to ensure that there is single surface towels. استخدام لمرة واحدة مناشف. This is important. Otherwise, I cannot ensure these persons are really sanitize their hand, washing their hand after critical time and before preparing of the food. Also, each food site should have adequate spaces for refrigerations and also to save the food. Especially the food are really hazardous foods or perishable food. these perishable foods like yogurt, milk, cheese, meat, etc. are really have high risk for getting spoiled if not be suitably refrigerated with adequate amount. ما بنفع انا احط الاكل كله فوق بعض وادحشه في ثلاجة صغيرة. It is really big problem because these cold air, الهواء البارد, cannot go thoroughly within the spaces. And this is also we can see in our refrigerators and freezers during الأضحى feast, عيد الأضحى. All the people just putting the meat portions in bags, plastic bags, without lifting appropriate space to allow for the cold air to go thoroughly and ease and accelerate the process of the getting freezing. This is time is critical and enhance and giving the time for bacteria to multiply and decrease and maybe cause changes on the food and getting it more spoiled. The fifth issue in the each food sites that they have to provide special containers for garbage للقمامة. This garbage container should be functional, easy to use, leak proof, مانع انه يطلع منها ماء او شيء، and non-absorbent material، مصنوعة من مادة غير قابلة للامتصاص او عشق الرائحة او المواد، ما تكون من كرتون يعني مثلا، ما بينفع. should be made from plastic or others fibers that be durable, not breakable, not leakable, leakageable, etc. This container should be large enough, and each garbage should be made from certain color. That's mean the green one for the organic materials, the white one for paper, the red one is for etc. This is should be have space and should be mentioned for each one. This container also should be put it in the place where the smell or odor not transfer to other places in the factory, and should be closed well. These garbage rooms غرف اللي بنضع فيها القمامة في الcontainers should be not allow for rodent فئران قوارض insects to get inside. And we have to consider these places is all the garbage removed on daily basis بشكل يومي، ممكن مرتين في اليوم or at least twice a week in certain cases, but we have to ensure the odor it not getting out or insects not multiplied on these places. All the food sites should be ensured that racks, shelves, pallets are stored above the ground about 50 centimeter. لازم يكون الحاويات المشاطيح بتاعت الأكل المخزن فيه مرفوعة 15 سنتي على الأرض. This is very important because we can avoid the getting moist. Also we can avoid spoilage of this food or even sometimes the rodents movement. Spoons, scoops should be made from the corrosion resistant material and non-toxic one, and we have to ensure المعالق والمغارف كل هدول الأشياء معمولة من مواد غير قابلة إنها تكون سامة أو تؤثر عليه بشكل عام. الإشي اللي كتير مهم كمان إنه لازم نتأكد من عملية السانيتيشن. يعني في أماكن تخزين الكاربج we have to consider that all garbage containers should be cleaned and sanitized after each using. أنا بفضل إنه we have to put large plastic package اللي هو حاوية كبيرة and remove it because if there is some liquids should be removed with the package. And also we have to put the garbage in the special separate room, and should be proof from insects، محمية من الحشرات من القوارض، ولازم تجمع بشكل يومي أو بشكل أسبوعي زي ما ذكرت قبل شوية. Also in the food factories sites we have to ensure that general maintenance، الصيانة الدائمة، we have to ensure that clean all the food sites in regular manner، بطريقة مستمرة ومنظمة ومبنية على تواريخ معينة، and also using certain sanitizers or detergents. These detergents المنظفات should not be transfer the odor or contaminated with the food. ما بنفع أنا أحط في مصنع غذاء فونيك لأنه this odor أو الرائحة will be transferred to the food and spoil it. It does not use to chipped or cracked cups. ما بنفع أنا أستخدم أدوات مكسرة، معالق، طناجر، كاسات. This should be avoided in the factories because maybe get the employee injured وبنجرحوا وبيأثر علينا. Also these cuts or grapes can be filled with the bacteria and maybe cause foodborne illnesses. Also I have to ensure that most of the towels is used for one. And nowadays after the spreading of the pandemic of the corona or COVID-19, I guess all the food factories, hotels, hospitals will be changed the way of using the towels and others usable stuffs. Yeah. Containers, cups, covers, wrapping material should be used from non-toxic material. We have to consider the aluminum foil. Aluminum foil issue, you have to see that if this using of this foil is safe or not. My colleague Dr. Hassan Tamus from Al-Azhar University, he doing a lot about using of the aluminium utensils and using of aluminium foil, and he proved through many articles and experimental work how this aluminium can really transfer from the utensils الأدوات to the food and increase the chances for getting illness once we using them, especially with hot and acidic foods, which has high chance for getting contaminated with aluminium particles. Yeah. Also we have to ensure that during the general maintenance how to keep every room free from the materials that should not be used in the food. I have to ensure that these places is just for salad. All the salad stuff should be involved, otherwise I have not to put anything on the table. This is minimize the risk for get contamination and also minimize the risk for getting accidentally cross contamination during the food preparation. I have to ensure that each general maintenance, washing, sanitizing the surface equipment and facilities which is in direct contact with the food. Also I have to consider walls, ceilings, floors of the factories is easily cleaned and made from certain paints طلقات خاصة which is the process of cleaning. ما بنفع أنا يكون في عندي مصنع أو عندي حيطان وخشنة، لا، it should be made from ceramic for example، رخام معين أو نوع من أنواع السيراميك. This is بيسهل بشكل كبير عملية washing and elimination of the dirties on the ما بنفع يكون عندي المنشأة عملية اللايتنينج أو الإنارة معمولة من لمبات نيون مكشوفة مش مغطية، لأنه فوق النيون هذا حيكون كمية كبيرة من الديرتس والأوساخ، وممكن عن طريق الهواء ما بينفع يكون في مراوح سقف، ما بينفع لأنه مراوح سقف الرياش تبعتها بتكون مليئة بالجراثيم، لو شغلناها بعد الشتاء حتنقل كل الجراثيم على الأكل. فهذه should be considered. You have to be have an eagle eye. As a manager for quality assurance, you have to have an eagle eye. An eagle eye, that's mean عين الصقر. That's mean you have to discover all types of unnecessary or unusual critical points which you can face during the process of the food process. Also, you have to consider the floors. الأرضيات معمولة من مادة سهلة الغسل، ما يكون فيها فتحات واسعة. ما بينفع يكون مصنع عندي الأرضية مصنوعة من معمولة من صبة أو مادة ما it's not acceptable. لازم يكون معمولة من مادة سهلة التنظيف، ما فيها شقوق بتاتا، أو مادة زي مشمع خاص يسهل عملية تنظيفه بشكل واضح. لازم تأكد كمان من المغاسل الموجودة بالداخل المنشأة الغذائية، لأنه لازم تقوم عملية الصيانة لها بشكل دوري وبشكل مستمر. استخدام المواد السامة لها اعتبارات خاصة. أكيد each food plant or site has a lot of toxic and poisonous materials using for cleaning, using for special usage. I have to put those stuffs in separate places and have to write and put signs in the local language, لغة عربية عنا. That is hazardous material. This is poisonous material. هذا مادة سامة شديد السمية. Especially for the chlor. مية نار. المواد اللي ما بتفكرها مية. هذا should be separated in special with peer label and should be organized in a proper way. Also, I have to ensure that these stuffs should be separately put it, and also I have to put some kind of direction or تعليمات instruction in case of you swallowing these stuffs what you have to do. واحد بلع شرب مية لازم ايش اعمل؟ انتوا كلكم تعرفوا انه لما اشرب مادة سامة او شيء الخطأ انه اروح اعمل vomiting زي مثلا الكلور او مية النار، لانه حترجع مرة ثانية وتتدمر. فلازم اروح فورا على المستشفى او اشرب بعض الاشياء which minimize the risk of getting poisonous or die. Also, I have to ensure the cleaning and sanitizing of the multi-serving eating utensils. الأدوات اللي بستخدمها في المطاعم لازم أتأكد إنها يتم غسلها بشكل جيد، خاصة الصحون، الكاسات، المعالق، لأنه in case of not washing in a proper way, I guess the contamination and this is effect on the repertoire of the cleaning. Clean and sanitize all utensils, equipments, if necessary. Equipment and facilitation. Equipments and facilities should be sanitized in 3 sinks. يعني أنا ممكن أعمل عملية الغسل الأدوات هذه في 3 أحواض منفصلة إذا كنت بستخدم المانيوال equipment اللي هو الغسل اليدوي، أو إذا كنت بستخدم الميكانيكال في له اشتراطات خاصة. إذا أنا بستخدم المانيوال واشنج عملية التعقيم أو الغسل اليدوي، لازم يكون في عندي 3 sinks. هذول ال3 أحواض كل واحد بيلعب دور. واحد بنشيل منه الأوساخ باستخدام بعض أنواع الديترجنت، الثاني بنستخدمه في عملية الغسل بشكل جيد بالمحلول، والثالث بنعمل عملية السانيتايزنج اللي هو التعقيم. هذا كتير مهم. أنا I hope that all our restaurants في غزة here are doing that. I hope that. يعني I hope that each restaurant have 3 sinks at least or 2 بس I don't know. Anyway, this manual equipment should be using also the certain type of hot water. This is the process of washing. The third one using for sanitizing with appropriate and useful detergent مادة مسهل بشكل عام. لو أنا بستخدم اللي هو الميكانيكال ديش واشنج غسالة الصحون الأوتوماتيكية، I have to ensure that the temperature is range from 60 to 71. During the sanitizing process, I have to reach the temperature of 82 temperature at least for 10 seconds to ensure that killing all the pathogenic bacteria and to minimize hepatitis, corona nowadays, etc. And also to be sure that each unit working in the proper way. And I have to also, before putting in the mechanical dishwashing, to scrub and pre-rinse. اغسل غسل مبدئي واشيل الاوساخ الموجودة عليها. Then I have to follow the manufacturing instruction، علامات التصنيع، يعني تعليمات المصنع انه كيف استخدم الماكينة بشكل جيد وحسب نوع درجة الحرارة وكمية السخون etc. ممكن استخدم الاي دراير، مجفف الهواء، ويعقم ويساعد بشكل واضح. Today we are knowing a lot of things about management and quality assurance management. We are proceed with employee safety procedures and going for sanitation, and also we're talking about how to ensure that all the employee following food safety procedures, employee procedures, equipment, sanitation, etc. We will proceed with the others in the next lecture, inshallah. I have that wishing you a nice day, inshallah. Salam.